Game On Media is chatting to Johnathan van Walt, the head coach of Walt Bay Rugby Club, who won the Gold Cup earlier this year. Johnathan, thanks for joining us. How are you today?
Hey, how's it going, man? All right.
I can't complain. Let's get right into it. Please, could you describe for us your approach to coaching and how you go about getting the best out of your players?
I think, first of all, I think you've got to know exactly who you're coaching. So, of course, I coach at a club level. So I just believe at a club level you need to be pretty organized. Planning is paramount. I deal with a lot of players that obviously work for a living. I don't have too many students, guys that are married with wives and kids. Time is very limited. So I think my approach to coaching is to be very organized so that we only have a Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and I've maybe got about an hour and a half to spend with the guys. So it's not a lot of time to get through quite a lot of work. And I think to get the best out of players, I think you must create a decent environment, make sure that everyone's included, make sure that wives, families, kids, that's basically a massive family environment, and that when they come to practice, they mustn't see it as maybe a chore or work, but rather see it as coming down, keeping fit and healthy, and then doing what we all love, which is obviously to play rugby. Yeah?
Talk us through the 2017 Gold Cup season. What lessons did you learn as a coach?
I think I learned more lessons from the previous year towards this year, but I think this year, firstly, it's very tough in our league in Western Province to qualify for the Gold Cup. So we didn't even know that we were going to be in the Gold Cup right up until August, September. And then I think, once you get to those 14 grueling games, now we've got to take on another tournament, so we have to rest for about 2-3 weeks, and then if you want to make it to the final, you must go through 7 weeks of basically best of the best. So it's other clubs who have also obviously won in their divisions and regions, and again, it's pretty tough. So I'll say, lessons learned. You want to top your pool so that you have a little bit of I wouldn't call it an easier run, but maybe a bit of a more favourable run into the final.
The difference between False Bay's Gold Cup of this year as opposed to last year is that you managed to secure a home final. In your opinion, does home ground advantage still play a role in the modern game?
I think from a club point of view, most definitely. I think club rugby is very, very well supported, especially obviously in the Western Cape. We could have crowds anything from 1,500 to 5,000 people. I think travelling for the amateur rugby player, if you make travelling 4 or 5 weeks in a row, and it's hotels and it's staying away from work and family and friends, I do believe that it does take its toll. So that's why I still think home ground advantage in the club level of the game is paramount.
When did it occur to you that False Bay could go the whole 9 yards and win the Gold Cup?
That's quite a difficult one. I think I'd maybe look at our league season, and we played Durbanville Belleville at home, which is quite a massive club, and they've won the Gold Cup before as well. And we played them at home, and they've had a very, very good side this year, and we kind of overcame them. I won't say with ease, but there were certain tactics which they used, and our team really stood up. Last year's final, I lost 12 players, so we were in a so-called rebuilding phase this year. And for us to lose 12 players from last year's Gold Cup final to then qualify this year and then to go all the way, I definitely looked at that game and thought, well, we've come across home and away against the students, against a tough side. If we come up against the Gold Cup, well, hopefully the only hurdle that we'd have to obviously overcome would basically be Impala. And then, of course, they weren't in our group, and Rovers were in that, and that became a massive game for us as well.
What are your thoughts on the Gold Cup?
I think, well, firstly, it's a great competition. I know that there's a lot of cost and funding involved, so to Sarah and the guys that organise it, it is usually advantageous for a club coach, for club players to play outside of your province, to experience, like now there's Zim and there's Namibia, so to travel, so there's an element of travel, touring and that type of stuff, which basically hasn't been in the game for at least the last decade, which now has come to the fore. And I think the competition to play guys in different provinces starts to bring out the best in players.
Johnathan, as we end off, what is next for you in terms of coaching?
Well, I've just luckily been invited 2 years ago to complete my ILB level 3, and which all went well this past week as well. So hopefully in the next 4 or 5 months I'll be accredited with the level 3. And I'm currently busy with business at the moment. So if business goes well and everything, and I'm allowed to maybe coach or maybe afford some time, well, I'd love for my own province, Western Province, to have a look at me. They have showed faith in me before. I am the current Western Province amateur coach as well. And like maybe from here, I don't know if it's Province under 19, under 21. I know Dobson and Fleck, you're doing a brilliant job at Province as well. So, there's a lot of coaches out there in very few positions. But if nothing opens up within the next 2-3 years here, then maybe we'll have to look overseas.
So I think Gabon Media would like to thank you for spending some time with us today.
Cheers, shot, man. Thanks,